Welcome back to the light novel summary series of that time I got reincarnated as a slime right here on AniMonolith. After using the Bice Core to the Empire's air fleet, Ultima flew to Gabiru's location and forcefully pulled him away from the blast zone. Since Gabiru had activated Dragon Body mode, he was completely immobilized and couldn't escape on his own. Ultima didn't intend to wipe out the entire division, she only meant to destroy the command ship. She also didn't want to be known as killing her comrades, so she saved Gabiru. Thinking about being scolded by Rimuru and kicked out of the house, Ultima couldn't help but shiver. In the aftermath, all aerial airships were destroyed except a few grounded ones. Fortunately, the Hiryu warriors were unharmed. Thanks to their high regeneration abilities and healing potions, they recovered quickly after the battle. At the headquarters of the Empire's tank division, Lieutenant General Gastra was in shock after hearing the latest reports. The Empire's strong air force had been completely wiped out, and his proud tank corps was being overwhelmed by a single wolf-like monster. Defeat was inevitable. Gastra wanted to request a retreat, but he knew that Commander Kalgurio, who was currently leading a force of 700,000 modified soldiers into Tempest Labyrinth, would never approve. The tank division was supposed to act as rear support. If it collapsed, Kalgurio's main force would be exposed. However, the situation was spiraling out of control. The chain of command had broken down, soldiers were turning on each other, and annihilation was only a matter of time. Though Gastra feared the consequences of retreat, perhaps even execution, losing everything would be worse. After agonizing over the decision and driven more by self-preservation than strategy, Gastra finally ordered a full withdrawal. But by then, it was already too late. Just as Gastra was about to give the order to attack, a calm yet piercing voice echoed through the battlefield. How unfortunate. Did you really believe this would end so easily? I told you already, once you cross that line, there will be no mercy. The voice belonged to none other than Testarossa. Gastra could never forget that breathtaking face, framed by silvery white hair and blazing scarlet eyes. He had once dreamed of seeing her broken and begging for her life. But now, all he felt was paralyzing fear. As he tried to command his subordinates to strike, a chilling whisper came from behind him, though she had just been in front of him moments ago. I do not know what you wanted to do, but your subordinates are sleeping. I guess they must have been very tired. After all, they cannot seem to get up anymore. In that instant, Gastra understood. Every one of his men had been killed, and he hadn't heard a single sound. Driven by panic and desperation, Gastra unleashed his most powerful technique, Mind Requiem, a deadly sonic wave designed to disrupt and destroy even spiritual life forms. But it was utterly ineffective. Testarossa stood there unscathed, smiling softly. Her voice carried a tinge of genuine regret. What a shame. You were such a brilliant musician. Only now did Gastra grasp the true horror of Tempest. If monsters like her existed there, then the Empire had woefully underestimated their enemy. Terrified, he dropped all pride and begged for his life, offering high-level intelligence in exchange. But it was all a bluff, a ploy to buy time. His enhanced hearing had picked up faint footsteps. 3 elite operatives from the Imperial Intelligence Agency were approaching. Gastra pinned all his hopes on them, and then a voice rang out. This presence? You're a demon! No, an archdemon! 3 men appeared. Gastra recognized them instantly as Royal Guard operatives, the Empire's top secret enforcers, Davis, rank 11, Walt, 38, and Gordon, 64. Fate had brought them together again. They had once fought during the infamous Lakeshore Dyed Scarlet operation. Back then, they succeeded in sealing away a primordial demon known as Blanc. Wasting no time, the trio moved in perfect formation, deploying legendary-grade enchanted chains forged from holy silver and monster fur, crafted specifically to bind spiritual beings. The goal was to trap Testarossa from 3 directions using the Imperial sealing formation. But there was one problem. Testarossa now possessed a physical body. The chains, calibrated to bind ethereal entities, had no effect. With a serene smile and a tilt of her head, she looked at the 3 warriors like a parent humoring children. How nostalgic. Weren't you the ones who interrupted my meal before? The color drained from their faces. These words brought back terrible memories for Davis's team. They realized that in front of them was the White Primordial, the one who had stained the lakeshore with blood in the past. Back then, the Royal Guard had used these chains to bind White Primordial, and they had successfully defeated her. However, because of that stain, the East had spent a lot of effort to deeply understand the evil demons and set up defense systems against them in each city. Despite the fear gnawing at them, But at the same time, the pendants which had hung from the trio's necks shone. The light became a torrent and enveloped their bodies. Then they appeared as warriors in full golden plate mail. It was a legendary grade gear given to the Chosen. While the weapons varied from person to person, their armor was of uniform shape. It was the highest grade equipment handed down from ancient times, which could not even be seen by any ordinary means. Now that they had put it on, Davis and his crew could fight in full power. Radiating divine power, Davis stepped forward and calmly ordered Gastra to withdraw all troops. Their original mission was to covertly eliminate the werewolf Gobta, but now that a greater threat had emerged, evacuation was imperative. But Gastra hesitated, confused, overwhelmed, too slow to act. Meanwhile, Testarossa remained calm, amused by their bravado. You really think the same trick that worked once will work again? You must truly enjoy pointless effort. The Imperial Knights declared they would seal her soul this time, but Testarossa only laughed, wicked and beautiful. Confidence, fear, denial, such delightful expressions. Shall we begin? As Davis repeated his request for Gastra to retreat, it was already too late. The battle had begun the moment she appeared. All hope, Gastra realized, had already died when she first spoke. I told you, there will be no mercy. Before her words even fully landed, Testarossa broke free from the chains and appeared before Gastra. A dull snap echoed through the air, like a bone breaking, and Gastra fell, cold and lifeless. Everything happened so fast that it wasn't until his body hit the ground that Davis and his team even realized what had occurred. Gastra wasn't weak. He was strong enough to be considered for the Imperial Guard. For someone like that to die so easily? It shook them. Davis's hands trembled as he looked down at the shattered chains, crafted from holy silver and monster hair, equipment of legendary grade. If that couldn't restrain her, what could? Then Testarossa spoke calmly, with a graceful smile. Apologies for the delay. The man tried to run, and leaving him alive would have violated Lord Rimuru's orders. Also, please stop calling me Blanc. I have a name now. Testarossa. Those words froze the air. She has a name? Who would be insane enough to name a primordial? Incarnated and named? This can't be real? It was. And with that realization came a chilling truth. They stood no chance. The only move now was a retreat. We have to withdraw and report to His Majesty. I'll hold her off. I'll cast the transfer magic, warp portal. They quickly fell into formation. Gordon began the incantation, but Testarossa only laughed. A twisted, beautiful, terrifying sound. What's so funny? Walt shouted and charged with his spear, but she was already gone. Shit, where is she? Right here. A breath ghosted past his ear, cool, fragrant. Without turning, he knew. Testarossa. A soft, slender hand gripped his neck, icy, bone deep. The last thing Walt remembered before darkness swallowed him was the way Gastra died. I really hate incompetent people. With a chilling snap, Walt was killed. Paralyzed by fear, Davis, rank 11, began crying and desperately urged Gordon to activate the teleportation spell. But it was too late. The spell failed. Testarossa, having accessed the shared communication network with Ultima and Carrera, had already deciphered the workings of the Empire's magic disruption technology. What was once complex technology, she effortlessly reproduced and deployed here as a simple trick. Tyest and Godon couldn't comprehend what had happened. They only understood one terrifying truth. The White Primordial had evolved. She was no longer just a high-rank archdemon. She wasn't here to play anymore. She intended to stay. Who in the world created something this terrifying? Hearing their murmurs, Testarossa smiled and casually revealed that she had become a demon duke, an existence far above an archdemon. That alone shattered any remaining hope Tyst and Godon had. A demon duke. Was she now a second Guy Crimson? But Testarossa didn't finish them off immediately. Instead, she sat and chatted, reminiscing about the Scarlet Plains and expressing annoyance that the Empire had ruined her meal back then. Davis and Gordon entertained her idle talk, hoping to buy time and figure out a plan. However, when Testarossa mentioned slaughtering thousands of innocents just to prepare dinner, and still not being full, Davis snapped and rushed at her in fury. At that moment, a sweet voice rang out from outside the camp. Testarossa, haven't you finished them off yet? You looked busy, so I didn't want to interrupt. Anyway, let's wrap this up. It was Ultima. She had arrived late after making arrangements with Gabaru's unit. Her scent, her attitude, And the way she spoke to the white primordial, now named Testarossa, told Davis and Gordon everything they needed to know. The girl with the braided purple ponytail was another primordial. Despair took over. They might have stood a chance against one. But two? Certain death. Gordon began to weep, and Davis found himself thinking Walt was the lucky one. For dying first? Ultima urged Testarossa to hurry before Rimuru-sama got angry. With that, Testarossa summoned a pitch-black flame to her hand and crushed it effortlessly. A blast of cursed black light erupted from her palm, the forbidden spell, Death Streak, created after Guy Crimson's ascension as Demon Lord. The black light didn't cause physical damage, instead it ignored armor and matter, targeting the genetic code of living beings. Upon contact, it destroyed them from the inside out with a 99.9999% mortality rate. 1 in a million might survive and become a monster, but if the soul was harvested, there was no hope. This wasn't a spell that distinguished friend from foe. It annihilated all life indiscriminately. Testarossa, however, had already scanned the area with magic perception to confirm that no Tempest allies were nearby. She confined the spell to a 500-meter radius, though its full range could have wiped out several kilometers. With the battlefield cleared, Testarossa and Ultima casually chatted while collecting the remaining souls. The real reason for using Death Streak wasn't bloodlust, it was strategic. By eliminating only the humans and preserving the Empire's weapons and technology intact, they saved Rimuru time and resources. A clean kill and valuable intel? Surely Rimuru would be pleased. Thanks to the overwhelming power of just 2 individuals, nearly 300,000 Imperial troops were wiped out in less than 2 hours. Tempest had claimed its first decisive victory in the war. But the war was far from over. The Imperial command, including General Calgurio, remained unaware of the catastrophe. And now, the true main force, the Augmented Legion, was still marching toward the heart of Tempest, Rimuru's capital. And so the fiercest battle has just begun. Let's follow the next developments in the following video, guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and see you again.